Hello good people, if you would love to create this masterpiece, then stay glued to your phone while we dive into the process.
Hello there. I am Wonders Craft.
Please subscribe to my channel.
Hello ladies, welcome back to Crafting with Wonders Craft. So we're going to make this design. This is all crinoline work, okay? Now this is called crinoline. It comes in different sizes, okay, and colors. So we are going to create this, and it was my best seller during the festive period. So I noticed that lots of persons took interest in it, and I've decided to teach others so that they will know what to do. And I'm sure that after watching this, you will know what to do. So I'm going to be working with 40 yards of crinoline. Measure out 40 yards of crinoline. Like I said, the crinoline comes in different sizes. Now this is 2.5 inches, and this one here, the red one, is 3 inches. The width is what I'm talking about. It's 3 inches. So how do you achieve this? Is when you achieve this that you now start styling it. So to achieve that red one, you work with a small size. You cut it into two. I cut 40 inches long, and then I'm going to join it together. Okay, I'm going to join it together. And then I'll begin to insert my flexible wire. Get a soft millinery wire to work with. Now I'm not going to cut my flexible wire before inserting, okay? I'm going to insert it when I get to the end. I will now cut it. Reasons being that I don't want to either cut it too short or waste it, cut it too long. Now this is how I insert my millinery wire. Okay. Just by the tips of the crinoline. The crinoline has holes where you insert it. Now some people will choose to sew this down with thread and needle. These steps, what I'm doing now to sew it down, but believe me, it's the same thing, it's the same process. It's just a waste of time to sit down and be sewing it. Just insert it like this and you're good to go. So I have gotten to the tips. I'm going to hold it here and I'm going to drag this to straighten it. Okay, and then I'll get my plier and cut it off. So when you're done cutting it off, get your gum, put your gum by the tips, on both sides. And allow it to dry. Now that is because I'll be covering this with a bias. Like I'll be using gum to put the bias. But if you do not want to use gum to put the bias and you want to sew it, there will not be need for that. Because when you're sewing it, you bring everything together like this. Where is the other one? Let me illustrate using this one. You bring everything together like this and put your bias. Put your bias like this and begin to sew. I hope you can see what I'm doing, and begin to sew. I'm using this one to illustrate if you want to sew, okay? If you want to make a crinoline bias so that it will look as if you are using a cinnamon, this crinoline, after making a bias of it, from it looks like cinnamon. This is how to do it, to create a crinoline bias. Get your crinoline, whatever length that you want, fold it in two like this. Now this one is in two. Iron it. After ironing this, it will be this flat and soft. And then you fold it again in two like this. That's, you have folded in four. After folding in two, you fold it again and iron. While ironing like this, you are going to use a medium heat to iron in two like this. But when you double it in four, you are going to use high heat. Excuse me. You're going to use high heat so that it will melt like this. Okay, and voila, you've created a bias strip. Now, another way of making this is by making it from a bigger crinoline. Okay, let me show you what a crinoline is like. A bigger crinoline is like a smaller crinoline, but let me quickly just explain this. If you're using a bigger crinoline to make this style, you will double it in two and iron, and then you go through the process of inserting your wire at the tips of the crinoline till you get to the edge, to this other edge, this process. Okay, and then, like I said, I'm repeating this. If you have a sewing machine and you know how to sew, when you're done, you bring everything together, you put your bias and begin to sew. Do not sew on the wire inside, begin to sew it down. So that is it for the sewing part. If you want to sew and if you want to use a bigger crinoline, I will show you a picture. I'll put a picture of a bigger crinoline style and a smaller crinoline style. Anyone you prefer, you can always do it. Now this is what a bigger crinoline looks like. Okay, please, if you want to use a bias, do not use the regular bias. Do not use this regular bias, because to me it's small. Okay, it's small. When you start styling it, the iron inside, the wire inside can just pull off. I don't know if you understand, but if you want to understand what I mean, try to use a small bias to cover it, and then you try to style it and you'll see what I mean. So ensure you look for this particular bias, and the reason why I love using this bias is because it's shiny. It's called velvet bias. It is shiny. It adds beauty to your work. So that's the bias that I use here. Okay, and it just matches, like everything blends. So I'm just going to show you what to do now. That's if you were working with this small one now and you're working with gum, just bring everything together and hold it for it to be dry. Okay, then the next thing you should do is to get your bias and cover it and begin to cover it the color of your crinoline. Okay, I'm just illustrating with this one. Okay, you cover it from here like this. You make sure this thing gums. This one is not dry. Okay, and then cover these tips completely like this. Cover that tips completely like that, and then you go ahead and put your gum on this part. You allow it to dry. Please, one thing, while working with bias, if you want to put bias on your crinoline, ensure you do not use hot gum, candle gum. I think that's the general name for it.